latest episode of Open for Business. This is the show, if you don't know, where we created it at the beginning of the first lockdown in order for business owners to come on, share with us what they were doing, whether they were still trading. If they were, how do we still trade with them? How could we contact them? And it has grown, as all these things do. And now we interview all manner of people, but mainly business owners, coaches, speakers, and entrepreneurs in general, finding out what they're doing in these strange times. And today is no different. We have got we've got a speaker today, Graham Frost, who's a speaker, and he helps young people, he says, make better choices. And of course, it's been a tough time when you're a speaker and your platform has normally been outside. Speaking has been not as many opportunities, but we are very, very pleased and glad to be able to bring on Graham Frost. Graham, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us today. You are a speaker, some would say inspirational speaker. I've seen a few of yours on YouTube. You have a great story. Please, can you tell us all about how your life, how you started speaking, and some of what you talk about, please?
Well, good afternoon. Thank you, Nick, very much indeed for inviting me on, and I'm delighted to be here. So how I got started as a professional speaker was that about 10 years ago, actually, I was asked to go along to a school in Milton Keynes to do a talk about my life for a group of young people who were on a Young Enterprise Awards ceremony. And I was a member of Toastmasters International at the time, and the person who invited me was somebody that I knew through that. So I put a talk together about my life, which I'm going to tell you about briefly, very shortly. And I went along to the school and walked in, and there in the audience there was a large lecture theatre with about 250 teenagers, teachers, towering above me. And I'd spoken in public before, so it wasn't. But then it was like, wow, so I've got to, and I got up on the stage and I told my story, and it went down really well. And there were questions coming back, and anybody who speaks will tell you that young people are quite a difficult audience to engage. And I felt really in my element doing this. So, and I finished my talk. It took about 45 minutes, and I was packing up my car afterwards in the car park of the school, and two young lads came up to me and they said, "Excuse me, are you the gentleman that just spoke to us?" And I said, "Yes." They said, "Well, we'd just like to say that you inspired us." And that was a bit of a special moment. And I thought to myself, I've got to do this now. I've got to speak to other young people. If I can inspire those two young guys, maybe I can inspire a lot of other young people to actually make some good choices in their lives and have the lives that they're capable of having. So I decided to do that, and I've been doing it on and off for ever since, really. And so I guess you'd like to know what the story is. And so,
yes.
In brief, I was born into a very, very strict, what I can only describe as being a cult. And I was born into it in the mid-1950s, because I'm a bit older than I like to think I look. And by the time I got to the age of 17, I realised that that life wasn't really for me. But the only way that I could not have that life was to leave my whole family. So that's what I did. Left my whole family at the age of 17, went off into the big wide world, and a few things happened very quickly. And within 2 years of that, I was actually in a young offenders prison, which was called a Borstal in those days. And I went to Borstal. So I was in a strict church at 17, and by the time I got to 19, I was in prison, effectively. And then somebody had a conversation with me while I was in prison, and that changed my life again. And I thought, did I actually leave my whole family just to end up here? No, I didn't. So I'm going to make very sure that I don't go back into that lifestyle again. fortunately, I managed to come out, get myself back on my feet again with the help of other people. And then when I was 23, I got myself a good job on the railway, was in a happy relationship with somebody. And then when I was 23, I contracted testicular cancer, and I had to fight that. And as you can see, I'm still here to tell the tale, and healthy and fit. And so, yeah, so they're the three things that happened to me before the age of 25 that kind of shaped my life and made me, I'm a very optimistic and determined person, and I like to think I'm also pretty resilient. Although I think this year, 2020, has actually really tested everybody's resilience in one way or another.
It has. It has.
Yeah, so
that's a fascinating. Yeah, I mean that's a fascinating story, and it's interesting the way you've gone from being in a cult and then into the Borstal. So was that because you'd suddenly got this freedom of choices and then made some wrong ones, maybe because you didn't have that guide that you did have?
I think it was. I think I went from being completely controlled to not being controlled at all. And so then I fell under the influence of somebody who led me in. Nobody put a gun to my head and made me do it, but I was influenced by somebody else who said, wouldn't it be great if we did this? It was exciting. It was exciting, to be honest with you. I knew in my heart. I talk about making heart-shaped decisions, and I knew that in my heart that what I was doing wasn't right, but at the same time, I thought I'm going to do this, and then got caught, and ended up in prison. And I didn't do anything. I didn't hurt anybody. I just stole things, but eventually ending up in prison. So having achieved my liberty at the age of 17, it was then taken away again 2 years later, and I learned a very valuable lesson from that.
Yeah, and that is amazing. We've got a sorry, I mean slightly frozen on me there. I hope you can still hear me. And that is how difficult was it to actually leave the your cult? Because you hear stories of it being very difficult for some people. Looks like we might have just sorry, Graham, you've frozen on me there. Let me just refresh. That might solve our issue. Bear with us, guys. Let's try and reload. Oh, this is a shame. Oh, he had a great story. A great story, and then I've lost him. Let me see whether I can get Graham back. See, guys, these are the joys of live streaming. You never know what's going to happen. So I've just pinged Graham a little message. He might be chatting away, thinking that these things, I don't know. I was just that before we came on air, I always tell my guests, we are live, anything can happen. We've been good for ages. We've been working quite happily. And then suddenly, today of all days, dag nabbit, I think the phrase is. These things, what can I say? We've lost Graham. This is not Graham's fault. This is just one of the vagaries of going live. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stop this broadcast, guys. I'm going to find Graham again, and if we can't do it live, I'll chat to Graham. I'll record it, and I shall put the recording up later on. So that might be the saviour. So let me get Graham, and we can start again. We will notify you.